I will not leave while you lose. I will hold to the cross.
The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's foreign and foreign.
Good evening and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. I am your host, Lowe's Moore, and hey, just like you seen up there, hey, Lowe's Moore the Blueprint on Facebook, Lowe's Moore the Blueprint on YouTube. Like and subscribe, right? Do that for me. Thank you. I want to say thank you right off the bat for your support of the Blueprint. Man, I love you guys, man, and we're back for another episode of the Blueprint, and check this out. Let me start out right now, man. I mean, we've been in sports heaven for a while now. I was telling somebody the other day that, man, I don't know. I've actually gone to games, seen games, watched on television more sports than I watched in a long, long time. From, the women's basketball now, for both men and women's college basketball, and WNBA, and just so much sports. And then now we're in the Olympics. I mean, this is a wonderful year, man. I love the Olympics, man. It's like so amazing. And if I could just say, I had the privilege as an athlete to try out. I was invited. Top 75 players in the country. I was in my going into my junior year, and I was invited to the Pan Am trials. Coach Bobby Knight was the coach of the Pan Am trials. Of course, guys like Isaiah Thomas coming out of high school, going in as a freshman to Indiana University, made the team. Cal Macy, Dow Griffith, a lot of guys like that. But they were in the Pan Am trials. Frank Johnson, Kevin McHale, Mark Aguirre. I mean, all these guys were in the Pan Am trials. Sam Clancy, Buck Williams, Ralph Sampson. I mean, just amazing to be able to think that you are one of those players that potentially could have made the Pan Am trials and could have made, the Olympic team. Or it's so many great players that I believe every one of us could have played on the Olympic team and could have did well, right? But it's only set between 12 players. And I was invited to the Olympic trials. I did not attend the Olympic trials. I wish I had some advice, and I should have gone to the Olympic trials. John Thompson and Dean Smith were coaches at the Pan Am trials, and they talked about how well at the end of it, how well I had played during the course of the trials. And they stated that, I could potentially be one of those players. I mean, it's just so many players. When you talk about the top 75 college players, now you're talking about, man, the top 25 or top 30 NBA players, going to the Olympics. I mean, it's so much competition that's going on. And, I hope you guys, we're in the second day of the Olympics, Paris 2024. I'm enjoying myself. And now, I mean, I think that a lot of times, back in the day, man, I think things were tape delayed and you couldn't see them. And and you didn't know when the games were going to come on and when the track and field was going to come on and when the swimmers. Now with so much technology, man, you get to see everything. And on Peacock, streaming site, you can see almost everything or go back and see what's going on in the Olympics. You could look at every kind of thing you want to look at, from fencing, from fencing to softball to, man, just everything you can watch on the Olympics now. And that's great for families. So, particularly not the main family, right? You can have the main family, those who go to Paris, who go to the Olympics. And then you got other family members and friends that didn't get a chance to see you. But now you can see them by streaming live. You can see them, or you can see them later on in terms of recording. And, I had I was thinking about it, like, because what happens is that the professional tennis player, Coco Gauff, right? I was tickled, looking at her video. I think it was on Instagram, and she and LeBron James got a chance to carry the flag for the United States, and she was holding the flag, and she was like on her on her phone, and she was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here next to LeBron James. I'm holding the flag with LeBron. I mean, it was so amazing to see how excited she was, to see LeBron James. I mean, and to some people, she's that kind of person. If they saw Coco, some little girl saw Coco, some high school person saw Coco, and they were standing next to him, and they would say, I can't believe I'm standing here with Coco. It's just amazing how, when people do great exploits, right? When people do great exploits, how we look up to them and they become like superheroes to us. And so I was thinking, hey, which one do you think, right? When you think of LeBron James, which one, and when you think of a superhero, right? Let me put up this. There's a flag up there. I put up the Olympic. I have a flyer for the Olympics. Can you see the? Can we put up the flyer for the Olympics in Paris? Yeah. See, enjoy the Olympics. And I was thinking, like, man, when you look at LeBron James and all the things, man, he's like really the face of the Olympics, particularly for America. When you look at the Olympics, man, yeah, there are a lot of great people in the Olympics participating in the Olympics, but then there's LeBron James. Now, here's a question for you. Is LeBron James, he's a hero. I mean, even at 39, 40 years old, is he Captain America, right? Or is he Iron Man? Right? I was thinking, like, I was looking at it. Who is LeBron James? Like, there's a picture of, he's been in the league for a long time. He's been playing in the league since he was 18, 19 years old. He could be Iron Man, right? And he could be Captain America. Which one do you think LeBron James represents when you talk about LeBron and the Olympics? Could he be both? He could be captain. He's representing America so amazing. I mean, when you think about the image of LeBron James and the school he started, right? And the way he loves his family, the way he loves his kids. I mean, how he represents the NBA. I mean, just amazing, man. But, I'm looking forward to track and field. I love swimming. Man, I look synchronized diving. I mean, everything is just so amazing. These athletes are so amazing. And I got to do a little shout out to the French, the French women's gymnastic team, right? Because they didn't do well today, man. Just to show you, life has pressures. I mean, no matter what, everyday life just has pressures. But when your whole country, right, and particularly you're the host country, right, and you don't do well, I felt real bad for the young women on the France Olympic team. I mean, they were crying and they didn't do well, man. It is a lot of pressure. I mean, you being the host team and the pressure of representing your country, right, at the highest level, right? And they didn't do well, and they didn't get into any team events further, and they didn't get into any individuals, which has got to be tough for the host country. But man, my heart goes out to them, man. And look, you made it to the Olympics. You made it there, and all of you are young enough to experience this, right? And prepare yourself, because you're young enough to be back 4 years from now, right? And so I look to see, this is what I look for. I look to see what these young ladies are going to do, right? After this, are they going to wilt, fall down, give up? Or are they going to pick themselves up, encourage themselves, and get back in the gym and win medals 4 years from now? Not just medals 4 years from now, but the championships going forward from now. Sometimes this is just a motivator, right, to make you go to another level, man. I mean, all losses. I think losses are opportunities. And finally, I want to say about the Olympics, right, is that it's the one time in our lifetime, right? This is the one thing about what I love about sports, and I love about the Olympics. We will stop fighting. We will stop fighting and come together to compete, to win medals. We will stop, find peace. This is the Olympics in sports is a perfect example of how the world actually can be. That you can compete to be the best, right? But not hate somebody, not hate the team, right? Not hate the next person, right? It's just a powerful tool. If we just took a look at the Olympics and think about it in real life terms, right? Then we could put down the guns. We can put down all the hatred, right? Because there's got to be some forgiveness. I know everybody's done something wrong. Everybody's done something hateful, right? And in any country, every country, right? Somebody's done something that somebody doesn't like, right? But if we can bring forgiveness into a place, right? If we can apologize and bring forgiveness to the place, love will flow like a river, right? And I'm just, that's why I most like the Olympics, seeing all these countries come together, right? And get together and speak to each other and hug to each other in spite of wins and losses and medals. That's my thing on the Olympics, right? Powerful, man, powerful. So let me move forward, right? Let me jump into my book of the week. Right? I didn't know if you guys knew this or not, but Stephen Curry has a book out, children's book, right? He has several books out, particularly around about himself, but this is a children's book around I have a superpower. And now you know Steph Curry is not the guy that's jumping out the gym or running by everybody, right? He wasn't the quickest nor fastest player in the world, right? But his superpower, he's telling these kids out here, you don't have to be the fastest, you don't have to be the quickest, but yet a lot of it is your heart, it's your determination, it's your will, it's your mindset, right? We all have a superpower. We can believe in ourselves, right? While our teachers, if you see in the back of the book, all those people who support you and build you up and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. I mean, check that book out. Get your son and your daughter that book, your grandchildren, get a book for them. You know, Steph Curry's book. So, and then my word of the week. This is a scripture in Matthew 20:22 and 14. It says, what does it mean? Many are called, but few are chosen. right? Many are called. Everybody's called to do something, right? But in a particular situation, right, sometimes people are chosen out of the multitude to be a little bit better and to apply more pressure or to be that person of purpose that will be a leader to lead us forward. And many are called, but few are chosen. The word is chosen. Question is, are you chosen? Right? And then here's my peer, Hill Hopper, and I want to wish my man Hill Hopper well. Right? I mean, he's running for office in Michigan. Right? I want to wish him well out there running in Michigan. But this is my affirmation quote moment. Hill Hopper, Pierce Hopper, affirmation moment and quote moment. It says here, right? Don't blame a clown for acting like a clown. Ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. Don't blame the clown for acting like a clown. Ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. Why you keep hanging out with the clown? Right? You know they going in the wrong direction. Right? Why you hanging out with them? Right? Go in another direction. I always say, my wife always said, me, if you the most intelligent person in the room, right? If you the best at what you do, find a room where you feel stupid, right? Because there's always more room to grow, right? Hey, once you reach one level, there's always another level to go. Don't stop there, right? Man, I like that. And here's my music and movie of the week, right? That's John Lennon, Imagine. I mean, they were playing this Imagine song during the ceremonies of the Olympics. Man, that's a beautiful, beautiful song. I was listening to it, and yeah, the great John Lennon, Imagine. What an amazing song. And then the movie, this is a coming movie. Movie's not here yet, didn't come out yet, The Forge. You got to check it out, man. It looks like it's an extension from War Room, right? All those great movies, great faith movies that we've been watching over the years. This is a new one coming out. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's coming out either September or November. But check that out. It's a movie that's coming. It's not here yet, right? Get yourself ready for it. Yes. And then my person of the week is LeBron James, right? I had the privilege and opportunity to spend about 6 weeks during the Battleground. LeBron James was the host of the Battleground. I was a coach of the New York City basketball team in the Battleground, along with Ben Gordon, who selected me to be his coach. And of course, we won the Battleground, right? And LeBron was there, practiced with us, hung out with us, and I've had just a great experience with LeBron. LeBron forgets nobody, right? He was the person of the year for Sports Illustrated. He used to be the man of the year, woman of the year. He was the person of the year, and they honored Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. JB Smoove invited me to go down to the Barclays Center, and he was hosting the event, the Sports Illustrated event. After it was over, we were in JB's locker room, went over to LeBron's locker room, and man, as soon as he saw me, he said, "Coach, what you doing, man?" He forgets nobody, man. He's had an amazing career. It's still going on. I applaud him for endurance and longevity. I mean, just LeBron's just an awesome person, right? And an awesome athlete, and he represents a lot of us well. So, without further ado, let's get rolling here with tonight's show. Check out these highlights, and I'll introduce my guest right after.
I want you to introduce yourself to the world with the camera. They're a part of the conversation.
Oh, dope. Welcome.
There you go.
Yeah, Manny Maldonado from the Lower East Side, and super passionate about three things: the city, young people, and Jesus. I lead a ministry called Chosen NYC Basketball, and if there was three words to best describe it, it would be faith plus basketball equals Chosen NYC. And we've been serving this community for the past 15 years. A cool tool with the street lights, we would with the Chosen League, before we would even play, we would just play a psalm or something. And we started out that way, and then it evolved into like, yo, what were some of your takeaways from what you heard? What I found was that people were receptive to it, and it was different. We were able to just facilitate a regular conversation, and what we found was people were more open to be able to have those conversations. And it's crazy how it's like you got a tool in your toolbox. I think it does speak the language to the culture here. Good music, beats, and God's word. I have a connection to it in more ways than one, Like I get to hear people that have a dialect that sounds like me, where I come from. And I think obviously, man, if we don't have God's word in a language that we can understand, I think, man, that there would be a void there if that wasn't the case. And it would just be one less.
Don't quit. One thing that you don't miss.
Yeah, Manny Maldonado.
Yes.
Where Manny at, man? What's up, Manny? Oh,
Yo, that was so good, Lois.
oh man. Hey, I want to start off, man, because you said something. Because people always give. Hold on. I got my seed here. This is my pebble.
Yeah,
You see my little basketball, man?
that's fire.
It's a golf ball, man. I bought about 3 of them, man. I was gonna play golf with them, right? I hit 2, lost them right away. It was instant. I mean, you can't go out with an orange golf ball. It don't work. I mean, that's why the golf ball is white. I mean, you can't go out with an orange one, man. I mean, but this is my pebble. I'm throwing it in the pond. I'm expecting the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get rolling, man. So I heard you say something before we move forward, before I forget. Right. You said that the people need to hear, particularly I think you're speaking about the word, in a voice or presentation that they can understand. I mean, go a little bit further with that, because sometimes we only hear one sound one way.
That's good. Yeah.
Right.
That's really good, man. I think, thinking about, the word, and thinking about New York City, and thinking about the people that, inhabit the city. When I think about basketball in the city, I think of it being a language, and how, the game of basketball is a big thing in the city, and how God wants to meet people in the very language that they understand, and being able to hear God's word on the basketball court, whether it be listening to scripture through a dope tool like a Streetlights audio Bible, or hearing somebody that grew up playing basketball, that loved it, that met a lot of his friends in it, and even some of the coaches that have imparted great wisdom, godly wisdom, and practical wisdom. When you get on the court and be able to share that with people, and then they see that lived out, that's a multiple expression of that language being played out, through God's word, through relationship, and through the proclamation of that. So yeah, that's some of the insights around the language.
Yeah, no, yeah, because I was thinking of that, because we live in a, when we talk about church, and I'm a little bit older than you.
It still look good, bro.
Oh man, thanks. I appreciate that. So there was one way that we heard the word. And it's church. I mean, we all grew up in church, whether it was our mothers taking us, right, our fathers taking us, or our grandparents taking us, or my grandmother calling my mother saying, did you go to church with them kids? I mean, on Sunday. And then we go to church and we hear, the music, in terms of the hymns or the gospel music, and then we hear the preach word, or we hear prayers. And so, we would think that that's, once we left there, that's kind of the only way we could hear God. Right. And so, and if we didn't, even now, if we don't hear it that way, other things are irrelevant. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was a young guy, a lot of hymns, right? Gospel music. And then all of a sudden, Andre Crouch came out, right? And when I was in high school. And so Andre hit the scene like, and most traditional people was like, that's the devil. I mean, that's the devil. You don't listen to that music. That guy ain't right. And the crazy part of it, this is the crazy part. Right now we use Andre Crouch as hymns. I mean, it's just like, so, I mean, it's crazy because God's sound, he has a sound, he has many sounds, and sometimes the sound changes, right? And so what worked for us, or we thought worked for us, may not work today. And that's what I think you're saying, through ministry is not just the church, right? Because that's how I got in, right? Honestly, I got into church because the young lady invited me to church because they had a basketball team. Now, I went to church because my mother made me go to church, right? But I found Christ because somebody led me to the church and I was playing basketball.
Amazing.
Right. So I'm saying there's so many spheres of influence, because what we're talking about, and I do the Blueprint podcast based on the 7 spheres of influence.
Yeah.
Right. So you're in the sphere of, ministry and church and, spirituality. I mean, and then you're equipping some of these young men and women to go into that sphere of sports if they can, and then share with them, maybe your gifting may not be in this sphere, and so you have to identify the sphere that you might get into, so yeah, I'm just talking about the sound, what's going to work so that people could hear the word of God, get to know God. What is the vehicle? What is the voice? What is the sound that's needed?
Yeah, I think the sound is, basketball and, love. I think, sometimes, I think one of the things as it relates to, sharing God's word on the court, and Chosen being like a church on the court in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of times when you think of religion and you think of the church, sometimes a lot of people have a lot of church hurt and they may not step foot into a church. And I'm not going to sit here and diss the church at all. I love the church, because if it wasn't for a praying mom who believed God, man, and invited me to church, I probably would have never came back to Christ in a sincere way. But, I do know that, with the Chosen League, God has been gracious to us in being able to use the basketball court as a form of church. And I think a lot of times what's beautiful about being on the court is, as much as we preach the word, some of the things that we are preaching is, we're demonstrating the love of Christ on the court. And that creates an opportunity for us to be able to preach to them. And that is amazing. Just thinking through a coach that we were recruiting, he said that he heard about the Chosen League because one of his friends said that he came back to Christ through the Chosen League, and that, he thought that, this guy would be a good fit on our coaching staff, and his name is Coach Matt. Shout out to him. But if it wasn't for that seed of hope that was planted in that young player who like recognized I gave my life to Christ on the court, that guy would have never came in and coached. And now he's ministering through rap and encouraging young players on the court with the love of Christ and his word.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, I want to digress for a moment, and because three things I like to focus on, and I like to get your thoughts on.
Yeah.
You know, the three things are the importance of family, right? And I heard you just mention your mom,
Yeah.
and what she did in terms of navigating you back that way, right? And so, you know, talk about family, faith, education, right? And talk about growing up, mom, dad, siblings, you know, and then lead into, you know, because you transition from that life of with your family into a life of your own family. So talk about that.
Yeah, nah, I think, in terms of my family, I didn't grow up in a church home. I grew up in the housing projects of the Lower East Side. And the way that I came to Christ was because I got an invitation to go to a camp called Camp Hope and Camp Joy. And I didn't really grow up, in a home where my dad was very present, where he was a man of God. But I love my dad. He's a hero. He's been through so much in his life. And but having a strong mom who went through some of the issues that there she is. Picture and put that up there. Having a mom like her who, loved her son, sacrificed so much for me and encouraged me in life. And just was there as a source of encouragement during the toughest seasons. And then, kind of that, unfolding into my own life with my own children and what it means to be a father, even though, my father wasn't as present as I wish he would have been in my life. But, because of Jesus, I was able to forgive my father for the many things that he had encountered. And I think over the years, going to church and meeting different brothers and meeting different mentors, God has had a unique way of really using other men in my life to demonstrate what being a man is. And to be honest, I'm still learning that. And I'm in a classroom regularly as I interact with my sons, and even as I navigate, dealing with my wife and learning what it means to be empathetic, you know what I mean? As I look at that, growing up in a home where, we were told to not, stuff your emotions, men don't cry. And learning, through the church, through New Life Fellowship, the importance of emotional health and how that's connected to spiritual maturity. And I've been on a journey with that, and we have been on a journey, my family, and I'm still learning a lot, about that, being a good husband and being a good father to my children. As I look at these pictures, it just touches my heart, bro. I'm grateful. Fills me with a lot of gratitude,
Yeah, no. I hear what you saying, because here's the craziest thing. And me and my son was arguing the other day about this, but I was talking to him, and I was actually talking to somebody, probably talking to somebody else on the phone, but somehow he got in. I mean, we was talking about it, and he was right and he was wrong at the same time, right? Because if you look in context, right, and you look when I grew up, right, so now my father is a father, right, and whether he said he loved me or he didn't say he loved me, he was my father. He gave birth to me, and then he was present for a while, and then he wasn't present. Right. So, but he was still my father.
That's right.
Right. So when you take that and you put it in 2024, and I'm part of the King movement, and I'm the chair of the chapter here in Westchester County chair. Of course, there's one in New York City as well, King movement chapter. And so I put out a question. I said, look, we're going to have a little meeting, a short meeting, Zoom call. And I put out the question, what's the difference between, we're going to discuss what's the difference between a father and a dad.
Ooh.
Right. So now I don't get that many men on, but for some reason that day I got 21 men on.
Wow.
Right. And as you know, we all know men don't talk that much.
That's a fact.
If we ain't talking about ball and women and stuff like that, there's a problem, right? So I asked the question, tell me what's the difference between a father and a dad, right? And I know they both the same.
Yeah.
Right? But then when you look at it today, they say, okay, somebody gave birth to me. That's my dad. That's my father. Right? And yeah, he may be in the house and he may be providing food and shelter and so forth and so on, but he never says he loves me, or he never hugs me, or he never spend time with me. Right? So they define that as a dad. Right? And the other as a father. Yeah, you gave birth to me and you may be providing resources for me, but there's no love. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. So when you talk about your experience with your dad, and then now being a dad, right? So you know what I'm saying. So right, you're a father.
I'm a father.
You're a dad,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So yeah, because when I look at the pictures, I'm like, oh, loving his wife, his sons. Man, y'all look like you're great. Everybody got great relationships when you look at the family picture, man. And that's really what God intended when you talk about the importance and power of family. I mean, so dive a little bit more into that whole family dynamic for me. Because let me say why. Because now it's not just your blood that family that you're building, right? These young men and women that you're seeing on the basketball court, right now you're becoming a mentor, a dad, right? So talk a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because, right now I've been looking to develop a discipleship framework as it relates to, we've been proclaiming the gospel here on the court, and with the communities that we serve in, the level of fatherlessness in the community. Out of 140 kids that are in the tournament that we do on the Lower East Side, I would say about 3 fathers show up on the court, which says a lot. Maybe there's a lot of different reasons why fathers don't come onto the court. Could be jobs, could be financial, could be prison. It could be a lot of different variables. But I would say that, in this season of my life, as it relates to walking out my purpose in Christ, sometimes when you take a level of faith and you step out into, uncharted places, and you're in a place of uncomfortableness, God allows things to happen. I wish I could tell you that my family was easy in this season of my life. You know what I mean? I think I'm learning a lot about being a father, being a husband, in this season as it relates to walking with my kids to the court, being in a place where I'm learning how to interact with my wife in a way where I'm not letting my flesh get the best of me, and I'm walking in the spirit. And, according to where I'm at in this season, if I'm honest, and because I want to be honest and I don't want to put up any kind of facade, a lot of people don't know this, but, I've been in a season where, my wife and I have been separated for some time. And it's been in this season of my life where I'm learning what it means to love someone, care for someone, care for my family in this season. And, I think a lot of times in the faith, sometimes, and I've wrestled with this, where people can say, it could be very black and white. And sometimes I could even feel judged from the people in the local church, because a lot of times people say if the dude's family ain't right, how could he serve? And then a part of you goes, man, where does spiritual warfare come into that? Where do these other factors come in? But what I'm learning about this is, God is refining me. God is developing me into a husband, into a father. I haven't been more joyful in terms of being a father to my children, building genuine relationships with them, and even thinking ways of how they could grow spiritually. It's not just, providing for them, protecting them, but I'm learning how to pastor my children, and my home too, from a distance. It sounds crazy, but God is doing a great work in me in this season, and it's a deep question you asked, and I wrestled with whether or not I should share this, but I got to be true to what I believe God is putting in my heart in this season. And at the same time, I love my wife deeply, and I care for her, and I want the best for us and our marriage and our family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why we've been at these, these retreats, these marriage retreats.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and we, over the last, well, I guess 2 weeks or 2 weekends, right? We were in a marriage retreat for three days, and we actually got a chance to share right at that time, and also we were in a quarterly one night marriage on communication. I mean, it was very both very powerful to see the 14 couples that we were dealing with, and just that reconnection and thinking like, man, if you had something like this consistently when we get married, you know, then we would be able to communicate. We would hear some of the latest things practical things that are out there. We would hear other people in situations that they go through. That you mentioned spiritual warfare, the spiritual warfare that they go through, and what it means. Because our topic was from fresh to death.
oh,
So when we say death do us part, right? For better, for worse, for richer or poor, right? We just say those things and then we move on, not realizing that those things could actually become a reality that you would have to deal with. I mean, so yeah, it's challenging,
yeah,
you know, and the people that we serve, right? And I'm thankful to you. You've been honest. I mean, I'm thankful to you because they know, right? Like the thing as an executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and you're dealing with families and you're dealing with young kids who probably experience what you experience, right? And what I experience every day, whether the mother or father's there, no mother or father there, they coming in foster care, all kind of things are going on. Single parent homes,
yeah,
struggles like that. So we meeting these kids, right? And we're trying to tell them to do what we say, but not what we do. Right. So it has been, for me, it hasn't been a challenge because the number one thing is family. For me, my wife, 41 years next month,
praise
right?
God. That's
And,
awesome.
and yeah, and so raising kids, so you become that light that we talk about,
Sure.
right? You want you to be the light. You want the coaches to be the light, because they will notice darkness regardless of. They will know whether or not you're true and right. You regardless, they
Yeah,
just sense it in their spirit.
yeah, yeah. Nah, yeah, and I think too, man, just thinking through like, how God's power is perfected in weakness. And just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean my life is all together. I'm still a work in progress, and God is still sanctifying me through this situation with my wife and through my interactions with my kids and the body of Christ and my everyday people that I come into contact with on a regular basis. And I think it is because of that honesty, it is because of that transparency that God has been kind and has been able to, open up doors to be able to minister to and through people, for His glory. And I think The basketball court has been a great leveling playing field as it relates to connecting with people and just people from all places, which is what I love. And even when I think about ministering from a place of dependence on Jesus, God is gracious and He has a way of even using people to be able to connect and restore other situations. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, Lord, what the? You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, yo, I need Jesus, man. You know what I mean? Like, and you over here using me in this way. And then there's a part of me that's like, yo, Lord, how about me? And the Lord be like, yo, what makes you think I'm not answering your prayers? So, I know He's at work. He's so good. And I'm just grateful for His love and kindness. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I think we got some comments. What you got some comments up there? Thanks, Mike, for your comments.
Yes, Mike, appreciate you, brother.
And I think something else was up there that we should take a look at.
My
You
man
can
does.
always serve when you're honest with yourself and others. It's a matter of what it looks like. It says no matter what it looks like from anyone else, they have their own walk. You walk in your own path, brother.
Yeah. Yo, shout out to Desmond, man. I went to College with him, one of the hardest working dudes ever, man. And I hear you, brother. Like it's about personal relationship with Jesus, and He does meet us in our ways personally and corporately. So I'm grateful for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was at Carrington for 35 years. I've known Manny.
Woo! T-Lo.
Manny has always been truthful and honest. Even he would tell you the hard truths. Yeah.
That's my man. That was my roommate in high school from DC. His mom was a gift to me, and man, he's my brother. And I'm so glad that he's on here, just listening to this. Big shout
Yeah.
out to Thomas,
Yeah. Edwin,
Dr. Joyce.
he says he's different. He's definitely about the kids. Nothing but positive vibes
That's
when you
Coach
talk.
Munch.
That's Coach Munch. That's Coach Munch,
Yo, Munch, what
a
up?
true leader. What's up, Munch? We was just talking about you, man. Yeah, Coach Munch, a legend, man. Y'all remember we had Coach Munch on here, man. He was doing his thing. Yeah. Talk to me, because you just mentioned education and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Talk graduating from high school. Talk about graduating from high
yeah,
school,
yeah,
and what was your aspirations? I mean, in
yeah.
high school, growing up, what was your aspiration? What is it that you wanted to do? And what happened after high school?
Yeah, so I grew up going to the Boys Club of New York, and I always,
Hey,
yeah. Shout out to you. Shout out to the Boys Club of New York. I don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for the Boys Club. Real talk, man. So I always dreamed about going to private school because one of my friends went to a school called St. Andrews in Barrington, Rhode Island. And when he came back, my man was like talking different, dressing different. I was like, yeah, I want this, man. Like, and the Boys Club used to afford you to take an independent school placement test. And I wound up taking it and I did really well. At the time, the brother that was helping to place some of the students was a man by the name of Charlie Sikoriak. May he rest in peace. He was a gift to our community in the Lower East Side. And he had put me through the admissions process. And I remember signing my application. My mom helped me sign that thing. Yo, Lo, yo, bro, when I tell you that the application had bad whiteout on it, like, it was like, I was like, ain't no way in the world this school going accept me. You know what I mean?
I hear
My,
you.
my mom helped me, bro. And I remember, man, we sent it out. And my mom, one day, I come home and she's like, Manny, I got news for you, And she's like, you got into St. Andrew's School. In the living room, we hugged. It was a dream come true, man. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I went to St. Andrews in Barrington, Rhode Island. That's where I met my brother, Tom Carrington, who was my roommate. and I got exposed to a lot of different things: soccer, basketball, baseball, cross country. Met people from different backgrounds, and I wound up getting a great education and wound up making all state there in Rhode Island in the private school, NESCAC League. Played some ball there. Shout out to Al Dobson, who was my high school coach. And then after that, just was thinking about, like, man, should I go to college? Where should I go? Was really taking basketball seriously. And I spoke to my man. Oh yeah, he played for Kingman in DC. Yeah, Tilo. So my man, so wound up, went back to the boys club. Was like, I would love to do a postgraduate year. Wound up doing a postgraduate year at Northfield Mount Hermon School because I wanted to get some scouts looking at me, and wound up getting into a hard situation. Wound up like pivoting and going to Conn College, where I played intramural basketball because the academics at Conn was a little bit challenging. Shout out to Desmond, our college brother. But got my degree in economics. Yeah, got my degree in economics and graduated Conn, man. So I've been grateful for that kind of education. One from the private school side, and then one growing up in the Lower East Side, where you kind of get an education from the streets as well. So I had the education from both sides, getting that Conn College experience, and then growing up in the Lower East Side, just allowing me to see things. Yeah. Ooh.
I got a question for you. My wife's showing you the league. I got a question for you going back to that. What do you do with a degree in economics? I want to know that. I mean, what do you do with it?
Yo, bro, ask me if I'm using that thing right now. Maybe in a different way. You know what I mean? But yo, bro, I had dreams. Yo, believe it or not, Lowe's, I had dreams of being a movie screenwriter because Spike Lee was my idol, bro. Like, just seeing that movie Do the Right Thing.
Hold on. But you got a degree in economics. I'm trying to bring
Yo, Conn College gave me that aid, man. That aid came through in the clutch.
Oh man, no. I'm just saying, cause like, no, it's cool, man. But yeah, hey, I gotta go back. I want to digress for a minute because I went down a few years back as the executive director for the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon. I went down and met with the executive director of the Boys Club of New York.
Okay.
And I met him and we had a wonderful time. And then he introduced me to the guy who was helping kids go to postgraduate. He was like, you have any kids? And he was sending young men to some amazing academic schools as well as sports. And we tried to get a few kids. Maybe it's the same gentleman you were talking about. Yeah. He was wonderful. I mean, and I think we did get a couple of kids to go to a couple of private schools. I mean postgraduate schools from Mount Vernon.
Right.
But it was a great experience, and it's the one organization that used to be a part of the National Boys and Girls Club, and that turned into the National. It was the National Boys Club that ended up turning into the National Boys and Girls Club. The Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club, and then but the Boys Club of New York stayed the Boys Club of New York.
Correct.
Right, and thought it was important to deal with young men and the struggles that they were having growing up.
Yes.
Right, and I think you guys had like 4 buildings.
Yes.
And had resources for eternity. I mean, like $100 million endowment, and was just touching young men's lives like amazing. True. Right. So when you say the Boys Club of New York, yes, powerful.
Actually, the executive director at the time, his name was Brad Zervas, and he started this program called the Academic All-Star Basketball Team, which I was the head coach of for a little while and for a year, and was able to coach Chris McCullough, who played with Syracuse, Brooklyn Nets. Now he's in the Philippines playing professionally. and a kid by the name of Carlos Galan. But I think bigger than that, it was about giving kids from the inner city an opportunity to get out of the inner city, experiencing something different by visiting schools and playing against their schools in the hopes of getting recruited. So I was a part of that legacy, and it was something that lasted for a very long time, and it changed a lot of kids' lives and gave them opportunities to get a better education. That right now, a lot of those brothers, I think one of them I just spoke to the other day, he works with the USA Olympic team right now. He's taking photos. His name is John Lopez. And there's some guys out of that crop that, are doing great things, lawyers, accountants, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud to say that I know those brothers. And there's a long, rich history of alumni from the Boys Club of New York. So there's great fruit on that tree for sure.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about as we go right back into this world of Chosen in basketball, but for a while you started Chosen NYC or Chosen Basketball NYC, but yet in the midst of it, you also partner with FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Talk about that experience and the impact you guys had on New York City.
Yeah, great question. And I started Chosen NYC in '08 when I gave my heart to Christ in terms of like sincerely following him, living a life that was fully surrendered to him. I used to pass this court on the regular on my way going to church on Sunday, and I always visualized it being full of young people and, really praying to God, asking God, like, how have you wired me? What's my purpose in my life? And I remember I had this vision and I shared it with my man. His name is Eric Lugo. We were going to East Side Tabernacle together. And I said, bro, I got this vision, bro. And he was like, yo, man, why don't we go out there one day and pray for that vision to come to life? And I remember him, myself, my wife, and his wife, we went out. It was brick cold out there, Lowe's, and we prayed over the court on Houston and Christie. And that year, man, God opened up a door for us to start Chosen NYC basketball. And it was because of those seeds of hope that were planted that I was able to meet a brother that is near and dear to my heart, who's been a father figure, a spiritual father in my life, because he was someone that understood me. And I wound up coming on staff with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in those very areas that God was using me to spread the gospel and to do it through sports. I wound up meeting the #1 sports ministry in the world, and that was Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we were able to serve coaches and athletes, and they were really able to walk alongside of me and really train me and teach me the business side of ministry, in addition to the ministry side. It's all ministry, but there are different hats that you wear along the way as it relates to that,
Yeah. And then so after, which is a few years ago now that you were with FCA, and now what was the decision to go back and then say, okay, I'm gonna just take on Chosen full time?
Yeah, I think in this season, there was a season, we were kind of going through a transitional season at FCA. And at that moment, I just sensed in my spirit, like, man, God, what could you be trying to do here? And so I remember going to the Lord, like, what should I do? They had asked me to take some time off to think and pray about the transition that they wanted me to step into. And I just was like, man, I don't even know if, with all due respect to FCA, if they understood the context that we were serving in. And, in the process of me looking to the Lord, I wound up coming across a piece of scripture around the shrewd manager. And I remember just wrestling with it and sharing it with some brothers that my pastor and some other brothers that I had been doing life with deeply as it relates to discerning what could God be doing in my life in the next season of life. And through that process of much prayer, much counsel, after that time of getting away from FCA to prayerfully consider this next position that they wanted me to step into, I wound up, God just has a way of confirming it too, as you're seeking him in prayer through the counsel. And as you walking out your faith journey in that process, God was just making it so clear that chosen was something that I need to invest in. And the things that I had learned in FCA and the tools and the resources and the board understanding and all of those things, it was like God was saying, I want you to, pursue this full time. And I took that leap, and it has been the best thing that I could have ever done in my life, Lowe's.
Yeah. There go Coach Patterson up there, man.
Tommy P, what up?
Yeah. I mean, so talk about the programs.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about what you guys do all year round, right? All
yeah.
year
So
round. So talk about what you guys
yeah,
do and provide for the kids.
yeah. So over the past 16 years, we've been primarily leading with our faith, and every summer we've been very evangelical. But in the process of seeking the Lord and just trying to find ways to connect with people, and in my experience of learning about emotional health and dealing with the backgrounds and the communities that I've grown up in, primarily Black, brown, urban, tough neighborhoods, processing our emotions and handling conflict wisely is a big challenge. And so in the fall and the winter and the spring, we focus on social emotional learning, and basketball equals Chosen NYC. So our hopes in this next year has been to adopt 5 schools where we bring Chosen NYC to the school for free. And part of that framework is skill development, a curriculum that we developed around social emotional learning, where it allows us to have conversations on the court, where some people learn well in the classroom, but some people learn better on the basketball court, right? And then having intramural type games where it's just fun with refs, where it gives a feel of, yo, it's a real game. And our hopes in these efforts is threefold. Number one, to develop kids' skills in the game of basketball. Number two, teach kids how to process their emotions in a healthy way, because even when we think about spiritual formation and we think about maturity in Christ, you cannot be emotionally immature and be spiritually mature. So our hopes in these efforts is to navigate that and teach kids how to name their emotions, talk about them in a safe community, and in the hopes of giving them these tools and talking about it and thinking of ways to process that in a language that they understand through sport. When we're able to build those relationships in the fall, winter, and the spring, then we would have built that relational equity where we can then invite them to the Chosen in the summer, where our focus is more faith driven, even though everything we do is around relationship. But in terms of the proclamation of the gospel in the summer, we are preaching it unapologetically. Those
I like that.
unapologetically, bro.
Yeah, but you need to be in the school
Yes.
because a lot of it is, and some, and I explain it when I explain the 7 spheres of influence, right? Is sometimes you have to be overt, where everybody knows it's gonna be Christ all day,
Yes.
right? But in some environments, right, you have to be covert,
Correct.
right? So you have to go in and maybe you can't speak about God and faith and Jesus, right? And it is not, most people think is about speaking about that all the time. No, it's about the example. It's about the manifestation of love, the fruit of the spirit, which is love. How do we love people? How do we serve people? Right? Like you said, social, emotional development. Right? So it's helping build character, good attitudes, have integrity. All that is a part of your fruit of the spirit. And you never said anything. It's godly, but you didn't mention God. I mean, you got to demonstrate those things, not talk about those things, right? So I see that what you're saying, but many of us think we got to go in there and tell people, hey, you going to hell, you need Jesus, no, you need to go in and be a light, and you need to serve, and you need to love people, right? Because you can talk about Jesus all you want, but be a bad example. right? So you want to make sure you be a good example,
Correct.
right? And as you deal with people and they see the integrity and the character that you have, which is godly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's spot on. Yep.
Yeah. So and so, yeah, I like that. Go get because we need it, and we need to be in schools. We need to have men and women in school that have good integrity, good character, and they are serving kids and loving kids,
Yeah.
right? With no agenda, But all summertime, you're free. You come to the program, you get the ball out,
Yes.
and yep. But you got to get faith too,
Correct. Correct. We sharing the good news. We loving on people, encouraging people, and our hopes is to bring chosen to every borough and to four major cities. And the four major cities is Chicago, LA, Baltimore, and DC. And we're believing God to connect us to those partners in due season. And thank God right now we're coming into Brooklyn. We just finished our Lower East Side initiative in the summer. And so now we're going to Bed-Stuy beginning August 8th for 5 weeks. Bed-Stuy, do or die. Here we come.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's really awesome, man. And I tell you guys out there, man, when I first met Manny, right, we was part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and my man Frank Renazzo. It was just Frank is just like Manny. They got that love. They love people. They loving on people. And we did some amazing things together. It was just awesome being out there. And sometimes we don't even know these things exist, right? But I want to talk about the other side of it because you mentioned what you do in the programs and all that kind of stuff like that. But talk about the other side of it. As you see at the bottom of the screen, man, and the little thing keep floating around there is called chosennycbasketball.com, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the business side and why people should invest and support you because it takes resources to do those things.
Yes. And the business side of it is, leaving FCA, part of that process was raising my own personal support as a minister of the gospel. And when I left, I started raising my own support as it relates to Chosen NYC basketball. And so the four lanes on the business side that I learned was in order for a ministry to thrive, we have to believe God for the finances and the resources, and we're stewards of this. And so practically speaking, that looks like four lanes and, board advancement, prayerfully identifying people that can come on board with you in order who are passionate about Jesus, see the mission, and want to sow with their time, talent, and treasure. And then there's that side of the ministry where you have the support of your local church where they're supporting on you, encouraging you. And that's a part of it where it's called ministry advancement. Our hopes is to be a bridge to the local church. So our evangelical efforts to preach the gospel, but to also connect people so that they could grow spiritually. And then the other side of that business side is there's no I in team. You need to recruit staff, you need to recruit talent. And so each one of those areas are organized in my week prayerfully, and I wish I could say it was very systematic. However, I do have a framework, and what I'm learning about my faith journey as it relates to God providing is that, man, prayer is an integral part of it, where God is shaping me, molding me, humbling me, to rely on him through his people to provide the needs of the ministry. And let me just give you some context. In order to do a tournament like Chosen NYC basketball in the city, it takes $12,000, anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 for one tournament for 5 weeks. And so in that process, you're providing jobs for people, not just looking out for you. You providing opportunities for referees to make money, logistics coordinators to make money, speakers to make money. We're not leading with the money, but we are prayerfully, divinely connecting to people through invitations and trusting that God will send the right people to do that. So there is a business side where you have to develop a deck, you have to develop a game plan, and you have to sit in front of people, whether that be individuals, whether that be great grants and foundations, or whether that be businessmen that are looking to sow seeds of hope into an organization like Chosen. So right now, we have a couple of organizations that have given to us and partnered with us. And me and Lowe's was talking about this. And one of those organizations is the Women's Bible Society. They support us financially. New Life for New York City support us financially. My board, I have 4 board members. Shout out to them. Yvette, Nina, my man Radimus, and my brother Zach. They've been a gift, and they're the 4 people right now on my board that ask me anything. They have the right to ask me anything that they want. And bigger than all of that, they're people that I love, but people that hold me accountable as it relates to being a good steward with what God has entrusted us with. But those are some of the things. But at the same time, what I'm recognizing as I'm taking these steps of faith, I'm realizing that a lot of organizations, and Lowe's and I were talking about this, are giving to projects, but they're not giving to people. And that is a big, big issue where I think that we need to have these conversations about the importance of people that are sold out for young people that want to preach the gospel, that want to help people grow in their faith so that they can make disciples who make disciples. We got to move that burden of raising their support. We need to be able to sow into individuals where they're not just raising their own personal support, but they're getting funded with their salaries. And that's a big issue on the business side of it.
Yeah, because everybody else is doing it. I mean, I found that at the Boys and Girls Club that people will invest in programs, right? But they won't invest in the people who serve in those programs. Like they won't invest in the staff, right? But I don't know how you can run a program if you can't pay for people who have giftings and purpose, to be able to help young people grow. It's the person that should be the and you're an educator, so you know this, right? You physical education, you know this, right?
Yeah.
So people will spend want to educate people, but they don't want to pay the teacher.
That's right.
Right. So I think one of the highest paid profession should be teachers, right? Because they're the people who are laying the foundation for your kids from elementary school, middle school to high school, all the way into college. Now we're going to pay somebody a lot of money once you get to college.
Right.
Right. But you don't want to pay the teacher that's elementary school, that's laying the foundation. Right. And then you want to pay a decent salary to people that are in middle school who are laying on top of that foundation, and then up into high school. Because if you pay quality wage, right, then you get quality people.
Correct. And I think a lot of times people are like, they err on the side of, hey, let's not lead with the finances. But if the people have a proven track record and they've been serving this community for a long time, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had more frequently, and then asking myself, well, let me put myself in that person's situation, considering the kind of press that sometimes the ministries do get, because the devil is a liar and he'll try to taint the good things that God is doing through these ministers. So they try to he tries to put them in situations where it creates this skepticism, where the press and the marketing is being pushed, where, oh, this person spent $50,000, and that's all people hear, you know what I mean? But they don't hear like the person that is, negative 10,000 that's serving the Lord, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Lord. And I think that playing field has to be leveled off. But I think because of the press, that has created a lot of skepticism, especially in New York City, where people got to see it to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing is too, right? We vet things. So you vet Manny.
Correct.
Right? You look at his track record, right? Because business is risk. I mean, if you're going to start a business, it's a risk,
Correct.
right? I mean, faith is risk,
Correct.
right? So everything is a risk, right? But at the risk of not doing it, right? How many young people, how many families do we lose because we won't invest in people? Right. And so I think those things are important. Before we go any further, I want to check out these a couple of testimonies here, man. We got a couple of testimonies, man, about what it is that Manny does,
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. I'm 16 years old, and my first year I chosen NYC basketball. It's different. Being here is a different environment. Having Coach Manny here with us, talking about the word is, it's very good for the youth. Because now we don't get these chances. We don't get to be talked to. We don't get to be heard. So I appreciate Manny for this. I appreciate the community for coming together and having this tournament for us. Yeah, my first year I chosen has been great.
All right, how you doing, everybody? My name is Byron Flores. I've been in the Chosen League for a long time. I really lost count, but I played in the league as a young man. I got to ref in the league as well a couple years ago, and now I'm also coaching in the league. And I think it's an amazing experience. At a young age, I went to another church program that provided basketball, so I always found church through basketball, and God always found me in that way. And I'm very appreciative for an amazing program that Manny is running with Chosen and Lou is helping me with, and I enjoy it unbelievably. The energy is great down here in the Lower East Side as well, so I can't imagine any other place I'd rather be to share my experience and to share my love for the game of basketball.
Yeah. Nah, that is good, man. And you see all them great pictures, man, of all the kids having fun that we've been looking at throughout the whole podcast tonight, man. And yeah, I think you can use, if God gives you a gift, right, that it could be used for ministry. Teaching people to use their words. Teaching people through singing. Through acting. I mean, my daughters had an amazing experience, and I think life-changing experience going into middle school. Here you see some of these players of the week and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But my daughters had an amazing experience in drama. I mean, when they went to middle school, they got into the drama program, and if they were like literally. One of my daughters, we used to call her name is Sherelle. We used to call her Shirelle. She was always shy, right? But yet it brought something out in both my daughters, right? Being in the acting program and getting on stage and finding your feelings and all those kind of things like that brought it out. That's a ministry with those guys. I think his name was Marty, and I think I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but they were amazing with those kids, man.
Roy.
Yeah. Huh?
Roy
and Marty. Yeah. I mean, they were amazing, man. I mean, and so same basketball. If God, you can use basketball, dancing, all kinds of things God that has gift you with or you experience that you can bring back to your community is very powerful. And I want to say thank you, man, for what you're doing. I mean, because we love basketball, right? And basketball, actually last week we were talking about the hoop school that I had in Albany, New York, when I played with the Albany Patroons. Me and a couple of guys came up with. And I had 4 or 5 guys that were on, talking about how the hoop school impacted them, and how it made them better men, better fathers, and giving back to their community, right? So I started a hoop school. We started hoop school. 3 guys saying, "Hey, man, let's do something for the community," right? And it was around faith. It was around the importance of education and character. And I told them, I said, "Yeah, it was like life skill." They said, "No, it wasn't life skill. It's the skull session." I mean, Oh man, but it's awesome, man. And you know what I heard recently, and from a guy I had met while I wasn't playing. I went down to an alumni event at West Virginia University, my alma mater,
Yeah.
and at the time, Joe Mazzulla, who's the coach of the Boston Celtics, now he was a point guard for West Virginia University, and I remember meeting him, and we didn't get to spend any time, with him, so you don't really know. I mean, he may not know I'm a guy of faith. I didn't know he was a guy of faith, man. But this is a curiosity question about what your thoughts is about what he said. I listen to this video and then see if you can respond to it.
We have the choice to make to how we look at ourselves. We also have the choice to make to decide whether we're going to care about how people view us or how they don't. And there's multiple lenses that each person can look at. I am half African American, half Italian. And so, but most importantly, the decision that I made in my life, I've decided to not look at my lens through either one of those. And I've decided to look at my lens through that of which is Christianity. And so my identity is in him first. And that comes before anything else. And that's just been important to me because what he's done for me in my life, the people that I have around me that have brought me there. And it's important for my wife and it's important for my family. It doesn't mean that it's any more important than any other lens to which we can look at. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, and we're going to look at the lens of life through that of Christianity and everything that comes with it.
That's deep. That's deep, bro.
Yeah. Unapologetically.
Unapologetically. I ain't
Yeah.
mad at you. I ain't mad at him, man. I think, I think I love that. I just love now that people are being bold in their faith. I think just him sharing that as it relates to, his identity in Christ. I think what I'm learning more and more is, if I sat here and I said that I didn't see color, then I wouldn't be seeing God who created all people in his image. And that demonstration and what that looks like, it comes in a lot of different shapes and forms in terms of color. However, when you serve Jesus, we all become brothers and sisters in Christ. And we look through the lens of Christ because he loves us and we love him, and he calls us to love all people, no matter race, ethnicity, background, religion, but my identity is in him. And so to hear him share that, in the position that he's in as the head coach of the Boston Celtics, and being someone that's walking with players, encouraging players, some in the faith, some not in the faith. But I can only imagine the prayers that he lifts up on behalf of his players. And the fact that he gets to walk alongside of them is a gift. You know what I mean? To be able to share that is beautiful.
Yeah, and then not be the key is not be offensive to others who don't believe.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because we can judge.
We sure can.
And God doesn't put us here to judge.
We sure.
He puts us here to live. I mean, just live, love, enjoy,
Yes.
right? And eventually the chips fall where they may.
Correct. Yeah, I love that. That's so spot on. I think sometimes where we get it wrong is when we try to put, our expectations on other people that don't really know what it is to follow Christ. You know what I mean? Like we're having them like, you're supposed to be behaving like this. Now, don't get me wrong. Morally, if there's something that's shaky, then, as a brother or sister, you address it. But our job is to love people and walk with people and encourage people and let them know we in this fight with them. You know what I mean? They're not alone, We with you in the game. You heard?
That's right. And there's two things like I want you to elaborate on. And number one, where you guys at right now, right? Number two, how can people donate?
Yeah, yeah,
right? How can people support you,
yeah.
right? And then in the fall, what do you have going on in the fall? Number three.
Yeah, that's really good. So where we are right now, we are getting ready to go into Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn on August 8th. And it's 5 weeks. The games are going to be on Thursdays and the rain dates are going to be on Tuesdays. And just to kind of give you some context in terms of where we are, like I said, it cost about 15,000 to run a tournament like this. And, the gift is that we provide jobs for people, for refs, people that are involved behind the scenes. But at the same time, I'm raising my salary as well. So right now, our goal is to raise $500,000 this year. And we got the goal of 5 schools coming into the fall. As of right now, we have 2 schools that we've been able to provide services for free. And now going into the fall, we're going to be at PS 34, hopefully at the end of September. And we're launching a Chosen Athletic Club, which is like a discipleship framework where you could donate through chosennycbasketball.com. And the giving link is there, and it gives you different options in terms of how you can give. You can donate to a player for $50. You can sponsor a team for $500. You could sponsor a division for $6,000, and you could sponsor a tournament for $12,000. And then lastly, you can support me as a minister of the gospel monthly. And just to kind of give you some context in terms of how people have been giving, I believe that there is power in the individual donor. You know what I mean? People that give from the heart, God can multiply that 100-fold. And people have given to me anywhere from $5 to $500 a month. And that has been the range. And by the grace of God, I've been able to provide for my family. I'm still believing God for more. So if it does touch your heart to want to give to me monthly, I'm grateful for that. And if you want to give to a player or to a team to sponsor, please feel free to look to our website. It has all those different categories and how you can give.
Yeah, Manny, it's been awesome, man.
Yo, thank you, Lowe's, man. I love you, brother. You got an infectious spirit of Christ living in you, man. You're the biggest encourager I know, bro. And you a prayer warrior too, bro.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. And we've had some good times, man. We were at we were down in the city. Oh, there go my man Donnell.
What up?
Donnell was volunteering.
Yes, he did. He had me come up to preach the gospel in Queens. Good brother.
Uh-oh.
That's my baby.
And that's Baron Davis?
Yeah, good dude, Baron, man. Good dude.
Wow. I know. Your son probably don't even know who he was. He's like, who's that guy right there? Why he lifting me up?
Very true. Very true.
Oh, man. Hey, but maybe, let me know. Yeah, we were out at the, I got recognized yesterday.
Amazing.
Out there at the Holcomb Rucker Park.
Yes.
At Rucker Park, I was out there, and my son Isaiah was playing out there with the wheelchair basketball team. It was some high school players that were out there from different countries, right? A lot of legends out there. Stevie Burke and all them guys are out there. Gary Springer, they were out there, man. I played against Gary Springer and them. It was a great time, man. I was at the Rucker Park. Let me say this. I took a picture, of the buildings right next to the Rucker Park because people were sitting on the fence and people were sitting. I don't even know how they allowed it. Sitting on the ledges. They were sitting on the roof. And I was just imagining, man, back in the day, all them, from Julius Irvin, Dr. J was out there. All the legends was out there. We had some legends out there. Bill Plez and all these guys were out there playing, man, back in all the NBA legends back in the day. And I was telling the guy, man, I was having a flashback. I was standing in front of the playground. They used to have a bunch of like refreshment trucks, hot dogs, ice cream trucks. They were all lined up out there. If you come, you couldn't even get in because it was, get in the park. The park was packed, and it ain't that big.
Yeah.
It's not that big. So I'm standing outside the park, with my mentor, Mr. Jones, may he rest in peace, my first coach, and we were standing there, and the guy had a soda in his hand, right? And I'm looking at his hand, looking at the soda, and his hand double wrapped the can. And I'm looking at his hand, and I'm tapping like Mr. Jones, like, look at his hand, And when I looked up, he looked down, and it was Connie Hawkins.
What? Yo.
Yeah. He was like, hey, what's up, young fella?
Wow, legend.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I want to thank you, man. And yeah, man, I'm gonna have to try to get out there when you were down in the boroughs. I tell you this, when I was a young kid, man, my dad's sister lived in Brooklyn with her husband, my Uncle Aaron. Yeah. And she had a bunch of kids. I mean, a lot of kids. I mean, all my cousins, right? And my sister lived in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. And every Saturday, man, my mom and dad used to pack us up, and we go to Brooklyn. And every weekend, Friday, Saturday, come back home Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. So we may have to get out there. Send me the information, man. We have to come out there one day and check out the games.
Would love that.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That. Absolutely.
So, again, thank you. Any final comments before we jump off here?
Yo, thank you. Thank you to you and Miss Moore. God bless you. And may he just continue to just use you guys to spread his love and his kindness to others. You guys are a gift. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to see some more girls out there, man. We got to get some girls out there.
Yo, so I got to tell you this. I don't know if you know JC Pro Classic. We just sponsored her tournament. She has it out here in the Lower East Side. She used to be with Kenny Grams on West 4th. Would love for you to come out and check that out. I just finished leaving her today. That takes place at Thompson Square Park too. So that'll be going on next Saturday if you wanted to come out to that and just check that out. That's more character enrichment focused, but God has been doing some great things in her life as it relates to going deeper in her walk as a commissioner of a league. So
yeah,
FCA sponsors too. So we're both sponsoring them.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica.
Yes.
Look, I appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you, Manny. Love you, man. Hang on for a moment. Hey, thank you, each and every one. All your comments tonight, they were wonderful. All your questions, man. You guys are amazing out there. Man, I love you, man. I look forward to seeing you next week, man. And we're going to have some more fun. But, man, pray for Manny, right? But not only pray for Manny, right? Invest in Manny, right? You're not investing in him. You're invested in God and his work, right? And if we don't support it, as people of faith, if we don't support these things, then they never get the magnitude that they're supposed to get. They just in potential mode right now, but they can get out of potential mode and they can really have impact, as Manny has had over these last 15 years with Chosen Basketball NYC. Yeah, so thank you guys. Love you. See you next week. God bless you. And hey, remember I say this every week, right? If the Lord will allow you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. God bless you.
God bless you.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.